All right, without further ado, this is going to be the second video in a 4-part series where we're kind of talking about the pros and cons of two of the world's most famous faceting machines, the Facetron and the TEC. And what we're going to be doing is just simply talking about personal preferences. It's great to hear how wonderful these machines are because they are. They'll cut world-class stones. Anytime you sit down at one, you can expect good results. But I want to talk about the good and the bad. And oftentimes when you hear people talk about these machines, you think they're going to break out pom-poms or start wearing company logos or something like that. You want to hear the good and you want to hear the not so good. So like I said, 5 pros, 5 cons on each machine. It's 100% personal preference. So if you don't agree with anything I'm saying, great. If you agree with some of what I'm saying, great. If you want to base some of your decisions on it, that's completely up to you. But I wanted to bring some of this information as I found it personally. So first up, Facetron, 5 pros, 5 cons. Let's take a look at them. All right, without further ado, I present to you the Facetron. This machine I have cut on for 7 years. I cut only on a Facetron. I have almost 0 complaints. I'm going to highlight a few of the things that you'll notice real quickly when you do own or decide to purchase one of these machines. And the first couple things you're going to notice is the massiveness of this head. This milled aluminum structure that has your quill, that has your index and everything on it is just massive. It's heavy, it's durable, and it's something that you know, hey, this has got a lot of work in it. Second thing you're going to notice is just how flat the planing is on this main part of the deck of the faceting machine itself. This is where a lot of your precision comes in. If there's any unevenness in there, it'll make things a wreck. When you buy a Facetron, you know these 2 parts are going to be top quality. So the first thing I want to talk about is the pros. We can get to the cons secondary, but I want to highlight the pros, which are numerous with the Facetron. And I think the first thing I want to talk about, Ruby, I want to talk about the Facetron is just how quiet it is. Can you turn the faceting machine on? I want you to hear just how quiet this runs. It just reeks precision equipment. Thank you, sweetie. And it's quiet. It doesn't make a whole lot of noise. All the noise that you're going to be making is going to be from the actual cutting itself. So the first thing is it's quiet. Quiet machine. You're going to love that part about it, and your family's going to love it too. It doesn't make any other noise but just the grinding of the stone. The second thing I want to talk about is just how user-friendly this machine is. Number one, I think in most faceting machines, sorry about my penmanship, it's user-friendly. This machine here, I can teach somebody to cut a stone on in a day. One day. One day I can show you what you need to learn on this, and you can actually finish a stone in about 8 hours of sitting. So we'll break that down into 2 days. So you can learn how to cut in about 2 days' time on one of these machines. It's just that simple. It's one of the easiest machines to use short of a hammer or a grinder or something like that. So super user-friendly. Number 2, it's quiet, it's user-friendly. The masthead I already mentioned, it's just a work of art. This thing is hefty, it's stable, it's durable, and it's something that you know has got a lot of quality work into it. So the masthead, super important. It's a big part of the machine. It's where you got to have that repeatability when you're cutting stones, when you're cutting each index. That's where you get that. It's just almost a work of art, in my opinion. This is going to be a little bit, I think, cheeky, but number 4 for me is, or 5 or whatever, is going to be the splash pan. Splash pan is a huge thing. It's easy to clean. I see people cut, holes into it to cut their girdles and stuff like that. This thing was actually developed keeping in mind that it was going to be bent down a lot. It has a real nice coating on it that you can just take into the sink and clean it. A lot of times when I see other splash pans, they're absolutely disgusting. They look like they have hepatitis B. You need to get those things checked. They're just disgusting. This, you can kind of avoid a lot of that because if it's hard to clean, people don't want to clean it. Other machines, the splash pan's hard to clean. This one's easy to clean. It's a big deal. And I think a notable part that I want to mention Beyond 5, I'll just put this in there, the DOPs. Facetron has a keyed DOP. Not only are they keyed, but you can get them when you can get them in about every size. And it seems like the Facetron DOPs have been a lot more congruent with the size of stones that I cut. I like the Facetron DOPs a lot. So let's just get right to it, the cons. This is the part that I think some people want to hear, they don't want to hear. I hope I don't break any hearts. And again, another cheeky one. On one of the ones I don't like, the color. The color is very indicative of the time that this machine was manufactured and it came out. You might see some of your grandmother's old appliances, her old Frigidaire, are going to be kind of this yellow color. To me, it's always kind of been an eyesore. If this thing was kind of an iodized black or anything other than this 1960 yellow, it would be much more appealing. My opinion, if this thing was black or blue, they would sell probably 200 or 300 more a year. That's just my opinion. Number 2, probably the most important thing of the cons, service. There's nobody to work on them. Now, I know Facetron was just purchased by somebody else. Hard to tell what's really going on there, so I don't want to get into any of that part of it. But as a Facetron owner, service, nobody to call. If I could call them, wouldn't call me back. Hard to get a hold of anybody. Not putting anybody under the bus. I'm not trying to throw any names out there. But service, when you buy a $5,000 machine, you want to be able to ask questions, get help, get parts. Not happening with this. You better know somebody. Number 3 is the part failure. Part failure. It seems like you need to kind of be a Facetron guy if you're going to own one. So extra on-off switches, extra any switch it has. It's a belt-driven machine. You need to keep an extra belt. Always is handy to keep an extra motor if you can get one. I went straight to the manufacturer and got a couple of them. Just parts. It's good to have them for whatever reason. It seems like Facetron parts are worth their weight in gold. So part failure, that's another one. I think a double whammy on this machine is that you can't cut fantasy gems. So people that cut on a Facetron, generally have that in the understanding that they cannot cut a fantasy stone. Now, there have been some aftermarket devices that will mill a stone somewhat like a fantasy machine will, but they don't make one for this. So you're going to have to get creative if you want to cut fantasy stones. And if you don't ever want to cut fantasy stones, no big deal. It's not, a big problem. But other than that, this particular machine, I have absolutely zero complaints about. I think for me, the best part of this is that it is just so easy to use. I have seen people cut world-class stones on this, unending. Okay, so don't think that either one of these, whether it be the Facetron or the Ultratech, is going to keep you from cutting award-winning stones, precision stones with the best polishes. That's just not going to happen. This will cut anything that you want, and I think it's a much easier machine to use. So my 5 pros, it's quiet, user-friendly, the masthead is amazing, great splash pan, and the DOPs are just overall better. The cons are going to be the aesthetics of it. The service is just unobtainable on it. I don't know if they're even buyable at this point. Part failure is very high, and you can't cut any fantasy stones. Other than that, that's what you're going to get. That's what you can look at when it comes to the Facetron. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Ultratech. We'll pick that apart. We'll put 5 pros, 5 cons of the Ultratech. We'll list those, and then at the end, I'll give you my synopsis on which one, if I had to buy one machine, which one it would be. So I hope this is clear as mud. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, just let me know and I'll be happy to answer them for you.